Good morning.
Good morning.
This is something new, so can everybody hear me?
Doesn't sound like it's on.
Yes.
Doesn't sound like it's on. Yes.
Well, just a minute, maybe it's not. There,
Sound
all right.
That's better.
Yes, okay. All right, I guess I don't have to speak very loudly. Will the people on Zoom be able to hear me?
Yes.
Well, anyway, good morning. We've already had an hour of meetings, and so I have to get myself readjusted here. And welcome to our hopefully monthly gathering to touch base with each other. And the session this morning is being recorded because there are some people who are not able to be with us. So just to let you know that that's happening. All right, before we get started, I always have a problem trying to find an appropriate prayer. And so I pulled out my Ed Hayes book and found this, which I thought fit where we are and to add a little positive spin to things in our life. It says, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, who gives spice to life with change. Lord and source of all gifts, we rejoice in the fullness of your holy generosity. We thank you especially now for the gift of change, the gift of newness that opens doors closed by habit and routine. We bless you and thank you as well for that which is stable and unchanging, for the ancient and traditional, which give meaning to the new and different. We thank you, O end of all longing, for the capacity for change in our lives. For without change, there can be no real growth and no true life. We are grateful in this prayer for those persons who, through their gifts of excitement and adventure, have taught us not to fear change, not to resist the new. We are thankful for your Son, your sacred word, who spoke to us of new wine for new wineskins, and who calls us daily to a new kingdom and to a new covenant. May our hearts be ever changing, ever in growth, as we journey to you, our mysterious source, you who are forever fresh and new, yet forever the same. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who gives spice to life with change. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I guess we will get started. With Sister Lynn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for that prayer, Mary Ann. There certainly has been a lot of changes. With that, I wanted to start, overall, I'm going to talk about healthcare. And so the first part was to talk about the staffing for healthcare at the center. And I know pretty much those of you who live here already know that, but just to update everyone. So right now, since Rhonda left, Lori Gibson is our CNA who is here throughout the week, daytime hours now. and helping schedule appointments and taking sisters to appointments. And she has really been able to step up in that role. And we needed some staffing for the evenings and weekends. We do have another CNA, Jen, who is a CHM staff and works, I think it's 2 or 3 evenings a week. But then to fill in the gaps, we started working with a staffing agency called A1. And through A1, we have 2 other CNAs that fill in on the other evenings and weekends. Each of them works every other weekend. And we have a nurse, Wendy, who comes at this time once a week on Fridays. In working with Kim Hussey, our current administrator, she is aware of a program where, or a agency that is able to give us a nurse practitioner who could come to the center 1 day a week. And so at this point, that's something in process to work on that possibility. And the nurse practitioner would be here at the center to see any of the sisters here. Let's say if you have a respiratory illness or other things going on that you're not feeling well, and that could actually save some trips to the doctor, although it does not take away, from your doctors that you're already seeing. So we're looking at that possibility. So that's what we have for staffing at this point. A second piece that I wanted to share was when we had our leadership team retreat out at the prairie, an idea that came up from that was that I would be the liaison from the leadership team for healthcare. And one aspect of that, it's helpful for our consultant, Cindy Madison, as well as Kim, to kind of have one designated person from the leadership team to work with. However, the whole team is still, in contact with Cindy and Kim and, working together. And we're going to work out a little bit more in detail, at our future leadership team meetings about what exactly that liaison role will look like. But one aspect that really I'm pretty excited about is that we would like to get together like a healthcare team that would meet and really take a holistic approach to the well-being of all the sisters. So that's something that we're really hoping for in the future. So another piece is that Cindy, as well as Sister Judy Jewison, they are helping with the leadership team to consider the healthcare needs for all the CHMs into the future. And just to share one piece of how that's evolving, Cindy was familiar with a healthcare assessment used by the Felician sisters, something that is an assessment for each sister in terms of where they're at with their different aspects of their health and being able to do things independently. Kind of an assessment of how much support might be needed. And so We're hoping to adapt that assessment to fit more for CHMs. And so you'll probably hear more about that in the future. A couple of other things. Diane Schlachter has prepared a summary. If you remember back at Assembly, there was one point where each of us was asked to kind of rate different needs that we might have in terms of healthcare, spirituality, just the whole range of needs, and to see what seems to be the most pressing needs at this time. And so Diane prepared a summary of those responses, and so you shall be receiving that fairly soon. We're going to send that out in a mailing, as well as a heart statement. That was something else that came from our leadership team retreat and our work with Cindy. Really, that makes a statement about how our CHM charism and our values can carry us through this time of such transition and change, and as we make decisions related to healthcare. So just kind of a preview of some things coming up. Also, I would say it kind of fits with both the healthcare liaison, the holistic view, and my work in formation, that looking at ongoing formation as an important piece. So one thing just to let you know, there is a workshop on dementia. It's in Dubuque, October 18th, and just to let you know, it should be an excellent workshop, and it's something that our community is helping to sponsor. But here in Davenport, and we can also look at doing things on Zoom, things that I'd really like to do. I've heard some interest in being able to discuss some of the presentations from LCWR. So that's a possibility. I came across an excellent series on aging and spirituality. So that's another possibility that we could watch that and have discussions. So I know that's a lot of information. Do you have any comments or questions? Kathy?
The October 18th, is that the one that's at the presentation, sisters?
Yes, that's right. Okay, if there aren't any other questions at this time, I'll let Mary Ann continue from here.
Thank you, Lynn. And next we have Marcia, who's going to talk to us about trends.
So I have about 3 or 4 things I'm going to be talking to you about. The first one, like Mary Ann said, is trends. That's a financial compilation of information that was started probably 25, 30 years ago through LCWR. And we originally was using that when we were receiving monies from National Religious Retirement Organization. But we currently do not need that financial assistance, and we have not used trends. Bill has his own database, Excel database, in which he's able to kind of keep up those same figures. But anyway, Cindy is working with us on, she has access to a trends database, and so she's plugging our information into that, and we'll be getting that back to us. It'll help us assess our future. It includes information such as our average age, our medium age, the number of sisters, And what we are doing is, she is using the figures from our audited financial statement as of June 30th of 2023. So that is the information that I'm going to share with you right now. Currently, as of, well, I shouldn't say currently, but as of June 30th of 2023, we had 50 sisters, 49 over 70, 1 under 70, with an average age of 85.75, a median age of 86.60. That has changed somewhat as I did kind of a recalculation of his data. We currently, as of June 30th of 2024, have 44 sisters over 70, 2 under, for a total of 46, with the average age of 84.81 and a median of 86.91. We are also looking at the possibility of exploring partners for senior living. We currently have like 3 options. We stay here with status quo. Or we move to an existing senior living community. If so, our priority would be that there would be mass and a chapel. A third option is to stay here, sell this building, and we be renters. Those are 3 options the team is looking at. No decision has been made. If there's ever any decision, you all will know about it.
Marcia,
Yes, Johanna?
maybe it's just good to add that that trends program would allow us to put different options in.
Okay. Johanna reminds me that that trends program will allow us to plug in various options. If this, then that type of options. It'll help us look at what decision, where we need to go, which direction.
Marcia?
And again,
Marcia?
no decision has been made. We don't have those figures yet, but Cindy should have them to us very shortly. Catherine?
Marcia, I missed something because you're saying 3 things, 3 different possibilities. And what I wrote down was just HMC, number 1. Number 2, live in another community with mass and chapel, and then live here. So it's like I'm numbing it twice and I shouldn't be. What's the?
Right, okay, both 2 options would be that we would live here. First is we own, which is as it is now. The other option there about living here is that we sell and become renters.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Just an update on our maintenance with rural and rural. I'm not hearing any negative from any of you, and I therefore assume everything's going fine. Your work orders are getting, we have replies to your work orders. I know that those living here know that we had all the not all the gutters, but the gutters replaced that needed replacement. And leaf guards placed. Leaves were not being cleaned out of our gutters and causing some water to seep into the building where we did not need it. We also have asked Rural to look at some of the trees on the outside, well, naturally outside, but so they began that process of trimming, pruning some of the trees, but then other trees have to be done in the fall. So that will continue and be finalized as the weather gets colder. 2 years ago, we had worked with a company to put asphalt ceiling on our garage area, back entrance. So that's going to be done. But there is like a chain of things that need to be done first. So I'm looking at, our garage floor is getting kind of pitty. So we're looking at power washing that down after winter, after all the salt from our cars. Then we'll power wash the garage down. But then that asphalt has to wait till that's done so that that salt from the garage does not affect the new asphalt. So it's kind of like what gets done first. But those are some of the things that we are looking at. Cleaning out the garage, putting the asphalt down on the back drive area. Another topic of conversation with the team is that in the past, we worked with, it was a human relations company called MRA. It's a human relations resource company. But now we have contracted with them to do some of our human resource needs, such as we have to update our employee handbook. It needs to come into compliance with national and state regulations. You know, some of this stuff we really have not dealt with over the years because many of our staff were actually sisters. And so some of the state and federal rules and regulations did not apply. But now we have many lay staff as employees, so we have to make our handbooks a little more compliant. So MRA is working with our employee handbook to get that up to date, plus with our job descriptions. Again, our job descriptions for most of our staff are sisters, quite different than now. So they're helping us to get all of our job descriptions into compliance and following a format. I work with Cindy and Kim as a liaison with the maintenance company. But I'm also working with them as the liaison for our human relations company at this point. I feel very good about the maintenance. Kind of nice to have some of that off of my shoulders, but occasionally they'll come to me with some little thing, nothing major. But again, I do keep Kim and Cindy informed if there's any major. Are there any questions regarding anything I've just said or something I might have missed? Okay.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. And now we are going to hear from Johanna. Primarily will governance points and also prairie issues or concerns.
Sisters, you know that we've been working on governance from, I guess I could say, time immemorial. But most recently, there are two
requests that we have made of Rome. One of them has already been responded to. We received a positive answer that the leadership team was requesting a 6-month extension of our term in order to have it coincide with the fiscal year. You might know that, with the COVID and the delayed elections and so forth, that we ended up finishing our term in December of 2025. But we wanted to get back in sync with the June 30th ending of the terms. So Rome granted us that permission to extend our terms so that the current leadership will go out of office June 30th, 2026. The other request that we made of Rome was to reduce the number on our leadership team. We currently have 5 sisters, and we felt that perhaps we could do a better job. Well, I won't say a better job. Let's just say that it would be possible to reduce the number of elected leaders to 3. And this, of course, means that, as is the case now, many other sisters would be involved in supporting that work. The initial request that we made was responded to with a letter that said, before we continue to make this decision, we want you to tell us what you have done to help your community prepare for a time when you may no longer be able to elect a CHM president. In other words, a time when the community would have to have an appointed leader. And you know that over the years, and I'm going to refer to the last 3 assemblies especially, we've talked about things like ways of responding to this need, whether it be collaboration with another community, whether it would be an appointed leader. At some point, we were using the term commissary. Now they're kind of using appointed leader as another way of saying the same thing. But that would mean that there would be someone that Rome would appoint. And of course, usually the congregations are able to, make recommendations and suggestions. But anyway, we've been talking about those possibilities. So in preparation to respond to that, Marcia has worked on a summary of the various documents and presentations that we've had over the last 3 CHM assemblies. So for example, in 2024, there was a sheet and an opportunity to learn more about the Code of Canon Law in the sense of what do these terms mean and how do we need to think about restructuring. And in June of 2023, there was also an article by Jan Segula, which was exploring the governance for the future. We talked about what other communities are doing. And then in 2022, there was a presentation that talked about the canonical governance of an institute by Nancy Reynolds and Lynn Gerald. This is something that had been presented at the Resource Center for Religious Institutes. In any case, we've listed some of the things that we've talked about with the community. However, we would be very interested in hearing from the community about how you have experienced talking about and getting prepared for this very real probability that at some point the community will not have enough candidates to have elected leaders. So we are asking all of you to share anything that you think the congregation has done to help you get ready for that. So, because we can put down our list of the things that we've presented, but it might be very helpful for you to say, okay, maybe at assembly we talked about this, or we had small groups about that, or in our local area, we've done thus and such. So that's one thing. So we're currently working on this second letter to, you might say, reinforce the idea that yes, indeed, we are looking into the ramifications of that future and trying to get prepared for it. Another thing that we have planned is a discernment session. I think we've talked about this previously, but just to reiterate a little advancement in that, Sister Judy Jewison has agreed to facilitate a discernment session for us April 1st through the 4th. And those are dates that we just recently were able to pin down with Judy's availability. But we want everyone to please have that in your calendar and on your mind, because as far as possible, we would like the greatest number of CHMs to be present on site for I'm going to call it a discernment retreat. And this would be seriously looking at our realities, some of those same ones that Marcia mentioned with trends, looking at the realities of our congregation and all together determining whether or not we have a sufficient pool of candidates to have another election for CHM leadership. Obviously, if we don't, then we have to be looking a little faster at other options. So that is in progress. We've had a first conversation with Judy, and we will be having another conversation in December with her in terms of preparing that particular gathering. We know that some of our communities that we relate to are at various stages, so the leadership team continues to share experiences with the other leadership teams, and we keep, trying to get ideas from each other and moving forward on that.
Johanna,
Yes.
Johanna,
No, I guess
Johanna.
Okay. Yes.
Johanna, would you please repeat the dates? You just said them.
Yes.
Repeat the dates.
Okay. The dates to keep in mind are April 1st through April 4th. And then I'll also add that, Lynn mentioned we'll be having a mailing coming out. We'll send all of those dates to you again in writing, but we're just giving you a little heads up now. April 1st through April 4th. Okay, then I think, Mary, did you have a question?
Yes, would you please make clear at the present time, please make clear at what time the present leadership team turns and when we would have elections. Because that's what we're looking at in April.
Yes, now that we have received the permission from Rome to extend our term, the current leadership team goes out of office June 30th, 2026. If we follow the new election process that we used last round, that would indicate that the chapter of election would take place probably around March or the spring of 2026. But it would imply that the fall of 2025 would already have some contemplative and discernment activities going on. But the actual election then would be in the spring of 2026, so that the new team would take office July 1, 2026. Okay, anything else on that? Then I'm going to move forward to OMPR. If you have been maybe reading any information or have been around at the center, you'll know that the Lady of the Prairie Advisory Committee met a few months ago and reached, I would say, a culmination of a process that's been going on for a while of examining how to make it more effective to utilize the gifts of the advisory committee. They decided that they would dissolve the advisory committee, which was set up under Sister Kathleen Storms to be advising the new director. Now we move forward, we have a large staff at the Prairie, we have people very well trained for their work. So this new group that would be formed would be called the OLPR Advisory Council. And that would be a group that would work more directly with the OLPR staff. However, that process is still underway. A survey was given to the former advisory committee members to see if anybody wants to sign up for the new advisory council. One of the reasons is that we've seen differing levels of commitment on those people. Some of them are getting so busy that they hardly have time to do much. So this was an opportunity for those who have served for many years to complete their service on the advisory committee and then not sign up to be on the advisory council. And then we might then look at expertise needed and recruit advisory council members. But that process is still underway. I have not heard from the executive committee that they have completed that survey. So I can't give you direct information like how many of the former committee members are joining the new council, how much recruiting might need to be done. I think the process at the Prairie, to me, seems to be going well. The team is enthusiastic. Last evening was the second event sponsored by the Tri-State Network, which is that group of about 5 retreat or peace and justice centers. I think it's 7 retreat centers associated with 5 religious congregations in this upper Mississippi River Valley. So that group then sponsored the retreat that was held last night. We'll be eager to get the feedback to know what are the possibilities of continuing a kind of a regional collaboration. This was our big starting up event, you might say, which was this retreat by Dr. Aaron Lovis last evening. Another process that's underway is the team at the Prairie is working on developing a program that could be offered for homeschoolers. The idea is that this is a group that would perhaps appreciate a place to have a field day or to learn more about care of earth. And since that's one of the areas that the strategic plan emphasizes, we thought this would be another way, not only of having more possible people at the Prairie, but also of expanding our reach in trying to, achieve our Laudato Si goals, to bring more and more people into awareness about what are the needs of the care of earth. I'm going to just repeat again what I said at assembly time, which is that all CHMs are invited to continue reflecting about what might be our goal as a congregation for Our Lady of the Prairie retreat. I think we are aware that we have 100 very beautiful acres of prairie and woodland. We have management plans in place for prairie and for woodlands, and we're taking good care of the grounds, the pond, and all the rest of it. And so we need to consider how will the congregation bring this wonderful ministry forward into the future? Because we're very close to the time when the congregation will not be able to continue. As it is, the Prairie is under the congregation's corporate arrangement, and so we need to consider what ways will we, what will we want to do with the Prairie. We just need to keep that in mind as another one of our discernment processes. Any questions?
Thank you, Joanna.
Yes, I think those of you are, that are participating by Zoom, could just raise your hand or let us know that you want to talk. But I don't see any.
Okay. One last item here is the charitable trust, that object, that entity that has been.
Kathy Burns has a question.
Oh, Catherine? Did you have a question, Catherine?
I guess, apparently not.
Okay. That's right. Let us know if it comes up. Okay. Of the charitable trust, we've had this ongoing saga with the CHM Charitable Trust, and then we created the Mojan Charitable Trust, which is an irrevocable trust, which means that we have turned the funds over to the trust department of a bank in St. Louis, and they are managing those funds for the retirement purposes of our sisters. We did not transfer the entire amount that was in the trust fund. We transferred a portion, and we'll see how that goes before we transfer more. But anyway, we have finally, correct, been able to say that the CHM Charitable Trust has been dissolved.
Well, we are lacking one vote, but I think all of the prior steps have been taken. The trustees of the current CHM Charitable Trust have been notified. The funds have been transferred to the CHM General Portfolio, but the corporation officers will meet at our next cabinet meeting, and at that time there will be the official dissolution document. And this is based on the advice of our attorney, that we've used the steps in this order.
Mary Penelope, did you raise your hand for a question? No.
All right. Well, I'm at the point on my agenda that it says it's final wrap up. So with a few reminders, starting with the General Assembly date for next June 19th through the 22nd is the General Assembly. And then, let's see, Marcia, are you going to share the dates? Okay, for our Zoom sessions.
So these sessions, like today, we have them scheduled for the next 5 months, 6 months, and we'll send them out to you in the letter.
Now she has a question.
Penelope, you have a question. You're muted. Penelope, are you there?
So she's trying to unmute.
Okay, Penelope.
Would I please have the dates of the assembly? I did not hear them well.
The dates of the assembly are
June 19
June 19th
to 22.
through the 22nd. And again, those will be sent out in writing.
Okay.
Delphine, did you have a question? Apparently not. You have a question, Delphine? Delphine, go
My
ahead.
question is for the people that are in the chapel. Would it be helpful, and this is for the presenters, would it be helpful if you had a lectern to control your papers that you have in your hand? I found it a bit distracting because some of you are struggling to keep your notes in your hand. Now, I don't know what it's like in the chapel if people would be more distracted if Marcia, Marianne, Lynn, and Johanna had a lectern to put their notes on. Just a suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
That's easy to rectify.
I will continue with giving you the dates for the next monthly meetings. Again, remember, these will be sent out to you. The next one for October is the third Thursday, which is the 17th. November, the third Thursday, which is the 21st. There will be no meeting in December. January 16th, February 20th, and March 20th. Again, they will be sent out to you.
Okay. One thing that this would be, one final, just to find out, did everybody get their new directory?
Yes.
If anyone out in Zoom land did not get your directories, it was mailed this last week. All right, well, I guess if there are no questions from Zoom land, everything else here, Joanna.
Just to encourage everyone, once again, if you have topics that you want us to talk about so that we can have dialogue. So far, we've mainly just kind of been presenting these, but we really want to have feedback from all of you. So if you do have suggestions, now that you know that the next date is October 17th, October 17th, if you have topics that you specifically want us to talk about, please let us know before then. And I think in the past we've sent an agenda, but I have to say this time myself, I just kind of hit the ground running and we didn't have time. But I think we'll, now that we're most of us back from our vacations, we will probably have an agenda coming to you. But the suggestions would still be able to be incorporated if you have topics you want us to talk about.
All right, I think that ends the session. Oh, Catherine.
Marianne, I'm not clear. I'm going back a bit to the bank in St. Louis. Okay. And I had two areas there, the charitable trust itself, and then the Mojan Trust. And neither of them are going to be moved over,
No.
or one of them will and the other one won't.
Yeah. The CHM Charitable Trust has been dissolved. And a portion of those funds have been committed to the Mojan Charitable Trust, which is the irrevocable.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, enjoy the rest of your, what day is this, Thursday? I looked at Too many meetings, okay.
Bye for now, baby.
It's good, always good to see everybody.
Hi, Penelope.
And goodbye to Maggie,
Amber,
Judith,
hello.
Judith.
Hope you are doing well.
Thank you. I'm fine. I'm doing very well.
Penelope said she's doing very well.
Good, thank you.
Keep it up.
It's good to see all of you. I send you a hug, each one.
Well, we'll send you hugs back.
Okay.